Another 13-letter motto, Annuit Coeptus, is taken from Virgil's Aeneid, and is a prayer to the pagan god Jupiter, to bless the new undertaking. In Virgil's work the prayer is Annuit Coeptus, which contains 12 letters, but the spelling was purposely modified to give the phrase 13 letters. 10. In addition, the Great Seal contains the words Novus Ordo Seclorum, meaning the new order of the ages. 11. This phrase too is taken from Virgil, and in modern times the New World Order has ominous meanings, although its Masonic meaning was a breakaway from the religious intolerance of Europe. The 18th century Masonic architects of the American nation, one nation under the Great Architect 173, did not stop using arcane symbolism with the Great Seal. The modern $1 bill includes the same Masonic symbolism of an unfinished pyramid topped by an all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye was on American currency as early as 1778. A Masonic faith. There are numerous claims regarding just how many of America's founding fathers were actually Masons. Washington and Franklin were documented and active members of Masonic organizations, while Jefferson and Adams were not. They all shared a common belief, however, a variation of faith known as deism. Adherents of deism believed that a superior power created the world and established nature as his law. Masons believed the supreme power was the great architect of the world, and his law was reflected in and revealed by science. The G symbol, which is so often debated, may simply be representative of the science of geometry. Deists, especially the 18th century followers, held in contempt the wars between Christians in which people were killed over minor points of doctrine. Men of science, treated with suspicion by the Church, also held dear the respect Masonry held for science. This new religion, the deist religion of the Masons, found a conciliation between God and science, and the G symbol was revered as a sign of this progress. The ranks of American revolutionaries that held deist beliefs included George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine, Ethan Allen, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and John Quincy Adams. 12. Paine was one of the most outspoken, and his Age of Reason is an anti-church treatise. Washington attended the Episcopal Church, but usually left before the communion. Jefferson regarded Christianity as a tyranny over the mind of man. Franklin, as a member of the Nine Sisters Lodge, was a brother to Voltaire, who, along with Jean-Jacques Rousseau, is given the credit for being the leading proponent of this natural religion. Deism did not require a structured religion, nor did it oppose 174 the Lodge, and the Revolution adherents to one. Although Franklin still called for prayer at the Constitutional Convention and Hamilton opposed it, both were Masons. Masonry allowed its members to transcend the divisions of religious pettiness and unite with each other. At the same time, there was a dark side to Masonry. Like organized religion, Masonry preached equality and practiced elitism. The American government itself was formed, not so much as a democracy as a hierarchical organization that could bar representation. For example, the right to vote was typically limited to men of property. Those inalienable rights declared in 1776 were not a desire of all people. When Thomas Jefferson and George Mason pushed for a Bill of Rights for individuals, they had to overcome the staunch opposition of men such as the elitist Alexander Hamilton. George Mason believed slavery to be a crime and an abomination, but there were many opposed to any attempt at ending that institution. But Mason was joined by Virginians Richard Henry Lee and James Madison in overriding Hamilton, and the Bill of Rights was accepted. Masonry had been born in the feudal Dark Ages, when a small portion of the population had life and death control over the people in their realm. Liberty and equality were ideals that were not always shared by those higher up the food chain. The Great American Gamble achieved a result that somehow eluded countries that chose to follow its example. Writers like Franklin and Jefferson had seemingly declared that challenging government by violent means was acceptable. Revolts ignited throughout Europe and South America, and were mostly led by Masons. In some countries, new republics were formed quickly and without violence, such as in the Netherlands, in Switzerland, and among the various states of Italy. In Italy, the Grand Master and 33rd-degree Masons Giuseppe Garibaldi fought to unify Italy and place another Mason, Victor Emmanuel II, on the throne. 13. In Russia, Freemasons were the primary leaders of the Decembrist revolt, which was planned in Masonic lodges. In Latin America, Freemason revolutionaries included Simon Bolivar, José de San Martin, and Benito Juárez. One Nation under the Great Architect 175 in France, where Rousseau and Voltaire inspired freethinking and Masonic ideals, the revolution took bizarre and bloody twists, turning the country into a mob bent on murder and destruction. Sadly, many of the champions of the American cause suffered dearly, including the Marquis de Lafayette and the Duc de Lorraine. In America, elitist concepts and an unjustifies the means philosophy allowed a handful of men to steer the membership of lodges. The product of such organization would rear its ugly head in massive organized criminal activity. From the slave trade to Asian opium smuggling, the elite would prosper, while the rank and file took the risks for them.